Facebook just released the AirLink update to the Oculus Quest 2, which allows you to play VR titles from your PC on your Oculus Quest 2 without a cable. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how well Oculus Quest 2's AirLink works with racing simulators. So fasten your seatbelts, make yourself a cup of tea, and let's get on with it. If you enjoy our content and want to support the channel, use the Gamer Muscle Fanatec store link when buying fancy pants sim racing equipment. Link is in the description. Thank you very much for all the tea bags. Because of the way Oculus AirLink works, it might work better or worse for different people and better or worse in different situations. So in a very top level explanation of how it operates, you basically have the game on your PC running. Your PC then encodes that game as a video signal, which is then sent via your Wi-Fi router to your Oculus Quest headset, with it then displaying that video. Also, because you can use the Oculus Quest controllers to play the games on your PC, the Quest 2 is sending the input control information through the Wi-Fi back to your PC. Obviously, with a driving simulator, you're probably going to be sat in a sim rig using your steering wheel as a controller, so you're not really using the Oculus controllers, so that component's not particularly that relevant. But what is relevant is that if your router's a utterly pants router, this might not work at all very well, and you're going to want to go back to the cable. Or maybe you do have a really nice Wi-Fi router, but if you live in a medieval fortress with chonky brick walls, you're going to want to make sure that your Wi-Fi router's in the same room or very close to your Quest 2. In my case, I got a good connection to my router, and it's pretty mind-blowing. I had to make sure the headset was updated to, I think it's version 28 on the headset, and you have to make sure that your Windows Oculus software is updated. It should all do that in the background automatically. Then you have to just click enable AirLink on the PC and enable AirLink on the headset, connect to the PC, and that is it. It's very, very similar to if you were to plug your headset into the PC with the USB cable. And really nicely, once you've set it up the first time, it's very easy to launch back into it. So let's say you weren't even doing sim racing and you're just in another room from your PC with your VR headset, you could, as long as your PC's turned on, you could just go to AirLink and connect up to it, basically ignoring the fact that it's going off your computer, which is, again, it's pretty incredible, to be honest. Now, in terms of the actual quality of it, I guess the first thing to say is, how does it compare to plugging in a headset directly into your PC? Like, let's say you've got a Rift S or you've got a Valve Index, that kind of situation. And you will definitely, even on the highest, I think it's 200 megabytes per second setting, even on that setting, you can definitely tell it's not quite as crisp as natively plugging it into an HDMI port. I mean, that's going to be pretty obvious that's going to happen if you're doing video encoding and sending it over Wi-Fi. The crispness of it, though, once you get above 150 megabytes or at 150 megabytes in its quality setting, the crispness is more than adequate, better quality than the original Oculus Rift CV1, and more than usable. Like, it's fine. It looks a little bit blurry, but it's absolutely fine. In terms of the quality where it won't look fine is once you start going below like 40, 50 megabytes, then it really does, once you get to the lowest setting on it, it really just degrades to the point where it looks like a 2000s Winamp CNN 56k live stream blown up into your face. It's not comfortable, and really not ideal. So you really will want to be on the mid setting, or you let it do it. It will automatically change the quality if you want to set it to that. But you really want to make sure you've got a router that lets it hit that sort of 150 megabytes per second bit rate. In terms of the actual latency, so when it comes to driving, one of the nice things with driving simulators is you've got a force feedback wheel that's directly connected to the PC. So though there is definitely a little bit of latency on the headset, I'm not quite sure how to quantify it. To me, it felt very similar to if you were to be running at like 80 hertz with locked VSync on a monitor. That kind of latency, not as bad as 60 hertz VSync, but you know, it 80 hertz VSync kind of latency. I'm not really sure how you equate that to milliseconds. Though it's got that, the force feedback's not got any latency there, and that's one-to-one with the game, and that really connects you to the game and kind of makes up for it. Most people, I really don't think, would notice the latency whilst playing driving simulators, unless maybe you're like an esports player or you're very sensitive to that sort of thing. I was surprised how usable it was. Like, I could quite happily play with it without it being annoying to me, and I hate VSync at 60, so I'm relatively sensitive to this. Though it is worth saying, if it chokes, and in my case, as I was driving the F2004 in a 2-hour play session or so of testing this out, it choked one time. I didn't crash, but it makes you feel like you've just been drugged, and everything just becomes desynchronized, and takes about 5 or so seconds for it to then sort of catch back up. The quality might drop down, or if you've got it on the fixed quality, the quality stays the same, but it just takes time for it to catch back up. I guess for the buffer to be sorted out. So that is probably the aspect of it where I think, you know, if you're in a very serious league race, or you're not playing single player and you have to not have any issues at all, that was something to be aware of at this point in time. I think I need to do more testing on it over longer periods of time with the fixed bit rate that I know my router's happy with, and then I'll be able to say for sure, okay, that never happens when you've set it at a threshold that's not going to cause issues. But that's something to be aware of if you're doing iRacing, for example, online, and you don't want to lose safety rating by visually lagging into another car. Outside of that, I would say as well, there is the aspect of if you start to approach the upper limits of what your router can put out, you definitely get sort of intermittent stutter, which some people probably might not even notice or might not care about so much, and other people it would absolutely ruin VR for them. It's very similar to that kind of frame drop stutter you get if you're with a tethered VR headset plugged into your HDMI, where if your game actually just doesn't have the frame rate in it, or it drops out frames, you get that. It's quite similar to that, but it is from the Airlink as opposed to it being from the game itself. Again, the way to resolve that is to just lower the settings down. In my case, I found around about 120 megabits was a good sweet spot for me, where I didn't really get any judder. It looked nice and sharp, or reasonably sharp, and it also didn't have latency issues. Lastly, of course, if you've got the headset totally vanilla mode, you will run out of battery. It seemed to me, I wasn't keeping count, but it seemed to me like the battery was getting used up, very similar to if I was just using the headset and not Airlink. It seemed to use the battery the same amount. Obviously, if you wanted to use it for longer, you could get a battery pack and stick that in the side of it to get more driving time out of it. But, you know, it is in beta at the moment, so it's only going to improve. And I have to say, it is absolutely extraordinary. The fact of the matter is, it's good enough that it's like, I would pick this over using a cable. I would almost pick this over using the Quest in many scenarios. The Valve Index. Unfortunately for me, I really don't like the lenses on the Quest 2, and I find the Valve Index just way more comfortable, way more immersive, better sound. Watch my Valve Index review. But I mean, this Wi-Fi, sending the signal over Wi-Fi, given how seamlessly they managed to do it, it's absolutely programming genius how they managed to get it to just work so seamlessly, given how complicated what is going on. But this seems to me, it's like that is the future for VR headsets. If you don't want a tethered VR headset, I think it either has to be a standalone VR headset, or this Wi-Fi solution works bloody well. But let me know in the comments, guys, what you want to know. If I've missed anything, just ask a question. I'll try and answer it. Either I'll answer it directly, or it'll be in a future video. I am going to jump in and do some dirt rally, and I'll record that and upload that as a video. I was driving the Colin McRae rally car in Dirt 2 with the H pattern in VR. Oh my god, it's absolutely fantastic. But yes, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, you know, you can subscribe to the channel. You can click the like button as well. YouTube's all about interactivity. That's the modern world. Most importantly, happy tea drinking, and goodbye everybody.